Hi everyone, welcome back to Irish Footy Vlogs. Great to be back on the show. Obviously I was away for a bit of time, but been brought back to the first team now. Thanks, Keith. So this week I'm joined with Gavin Woods, obviously a big Cork City fan. He's been on the show a good few times, so I'm sure you all know him. And we're going to look ahead to the first division for this week coming. Obviously, the first division, Gavin is actually looking very good this season so far. Obviously 7-8 games played for most teams. The table is very tight. A lot tighter than we all thought, and look, anything can happen, really.
Yeah, anyway, Daz, lovely to talk to you for the first time. It's great to have you back and great to see you back. Yeah, it's a tight table. It's probably one of the most exciting first divisions in years. Luckily enough, I can talk to you this time this year that Cork City are top of the league, as opposed to this time last year where we were just in a mess and we were bottom of the league. So it's kind of talking about reversing the tables literally. But it's great to be topping at this stage at the end of the first series of games last week. So I'm very happy with our season so far, especially with Galway and Waterford, kind of the big teams that the teams that were named that were going to be up chasing with Cork City, but Longford behind them all. As I said the other night to Keith Ryan and Keith Fitzsimons, Longford are like the kind of silent giant just behind them who are creeping up. So it's a great season so far.
Yeah, absolutely, and you know, we're kind of not even, I don't even think we're a quarter way through the season as of just yet, but you know, up to fourth place, I think fifth place, fourth place can get promoted. So there's a lot of teams in the run still, like, you know, and get a few results there together. You know, Bray Tree could seriously push themselves back up to a playoff position, and you know, 5, 6, 7 games down the road again, you could be looking at a very different table. But yeah, it's very interesting. I was just looking at the table and it's going, God, that's so tight, like, you know, and well, it's really interesting, really interesting. It's just a shame that it's 9 teams, but this conversation for another day. I suppose, look, we're going to start in the Midlands. Go down to Athlone. Athlone v3 this week coming. Obviously, you know, Russell got sacked for Athlone. They've got no wins. They're bottom of the league. 1 point in the table. It's not looking good for Athlone, is it, at all, again, this season?
No, it does. And I think, like, we had this thought about it. I think Athlone are a bit of a mess at the moment. And we were wondering there, like, what was going on at Athlone and why Martin Russell was sacked, because he's an experienced manager in the league. But there's obviously an issue with the board. So obviously something like that, it always trickles down to the squad and the manager, and things aren't going well for him. So I think they're going to struggle again this Friday night. You know, I won't be expecting anything other than a loss again for Athlone this weekend, you know. So it's going to be disappointing for him. So it's sad to see that happen with a team, but you know, that's life, unfortunately. As I said, I experienced the same thing this time last year with Cork City, you know.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Look, it is a shame we're Athlone are on the table, but look, obviously results, you know, they're reflected on the pitch, and it's just not being put in. And there's a lot of excitement, I suppose, going on with the team for Athlone last season. Like, not to go into it too much, you know, with the signings they had, the team they had, they were doing pretty somewhat okay. You know, probably should have done a bit better, but this season is a bit of a car crash for them so far. And look, hopefully they can turn it around and maybe bring a few bodies in the next few weeks and try and sort something out, because you know, no wins, like, you know, you need to get a win anyway, to get off the foot of the table. And Cobh, you know, not too far ahead of them, only 3 points ahead of them, and anything can happen. But just looking at Treaty then, you know, they got 7 points the last 9. They're 5th in the table with 11 points. You know, there's only 3 points separating them from 3rd. Like, I think they should be, you know, very confident going into this game. I think, you know, I've said it numerous times last season. They're my team in the season, I think, in a way last season, with how they were put together, the players they brought in, how they played. They play as a unit, and I think this season they've still been playing as a unit. They've been battling hard and been playing very well. And for me, anyway, I think they've definitely went a shout of a playoff again, I think. And look, I don't really see any other way than, for me, a 3 or 4-0 Treaty United win.
Yeah, I suppose that's, you know, when I went down to the City game versus Treaty, they're going back 3 or 4 weeks ago, and like City beat them 4-0 down there. And I think what happened was City got off to an excellent start, and I was looking at that game, and it was kind of a result I really didn't expect. I came away from that game in the Marcus Field and I said, look, if we can get a draw or a 1-0 win, I'd have been happy with it. But City just started the way they've been starting this year. But since then, Treaty are unbeaten. So I would be expecting Treaty to probably come to, well, I'd be expecting Treaty to win this 2 or 3-0. I think, like, you know, they're on a momentum there now where they're starting to pick up points. So I'd be expecting a victory.
I think, you know, it was supposed to be any nailed on wins this week, whichever it is in the League of Ireland. But if there was to be, you'd be back in 3, I think, all day long. Like, I just can't see a way for Athlone to get anything out of this game. I think even if Athlone were to sit back, park the bus, go 4-1, leave one up player up front, I still think Treaty just break them down and get a few goals, not just one, a few. Look, as I said, hopefully Athlone get themselves together, get a few bodies in, and try and pick up a few wins. But look, it's for me again, as I said, 2 or 3-0, 3 United to win, and look, they'll be going with that. I actually think 3 will be under a bit of pressure too, because they're really expected to win this one, and there'd be a shock if they don't win.
Yeah, exactly, and
that's score a few goals, like not just one, like a few, like.
Yeah, it's I know it's a cliche, Dad, but when you're on a run, when you're losing games and you're on a run and you can't get out of it, it does go from bad to worse. But with Treaty, they're on the upward climb. So as you said, Treaty are under pressure. Athlone really have nothing to lose, but I just think Athlone are in such a mess. You'll just be expecting a Treaty to pick up the 3 points anyway.
Yeah. I suppose don't better to move on then down south to your neck of the woods and down to Cork v Bray. Obviously, Cork, they're top of the league this season. I think you've only got 1 loss this season. Mostly wins. You've got 19 points. You're cruising at the top of the table, and rightly so. Cork are playing great football this season. It's great to see all the fans in Cork. They're back at the stadium. They're packing it out. The passion's back down in Cork. The fans are all getting behind the team again, and you can kind of see in the players' faces that the fans are back. They're backing us, and the good times are coming back to City. And you can always feel as if I think you're taking every game as it comes, and I think it's really been working for Cork this season. And you can see what it means to players at the end of every game. Everyone coming over high-fiving, everyone is jumping with joy with every win, no matter how you get it. Ugly, good, bad, nasty, don't care. Cork are playing excellent football. They obviously won Bray 6-0 earlier this season, which is an absolute crazy game at the very, very start of the season, if people remember back. Take us through this one, and obviously we'll look at it then from a Bray's perspective and maybe what they could try and get out of the game.
Yeah, well, as that game, the 6-0 game, or the first game of the season, it was a freak game because City got 4 goals in 8 minutes in that game. So, as I said, at any level, it doesn't matter what. When that happens, there's no team can come back for it. And I think City took full advantage of the situation. The good thing about Turner's Crossing, like you said yourself, Daz, I think in general with the League of Ireland this year, I think because of COVID and people able to go back to the stadiums, people are just looking for an excuse to go to games. And I think, as I said, it's kind of gone hand in hand with Cork City this year, that City kind of always had a kind of a core 1,500 fan base, but the fact that they're winning and they're of a momentum and they're top of the league and they're kind of picking in, kind of around 3,000 or 4,000 every home game. Yeah. And there's absolutely no doubt about it that, I mean, as a human being, whether you're a player or not, but it has to lift you, mentally when you're on the pitch playing for City. It makes such a difference, and when there's a good atmosphere there, and you can see it lifts the players, it lifts Colin Healy and his staff, and the place is buzzing at the moment. And as I say, as I says, when I touch my forehead, touch wood, that long may it last.
Yeah, definitely. And it's great that obviously Cork are bringing so many fans. Obviously, a lot more fans than some of the first division teams put together, let alone some of the Premier Division teams. I think the league's been missing Cork, and I think a lot of fans around the league would agree with that. It's a great away day. It's great to go down south of the country, to get away from Dublin, to get away from Louth, if you will, because you look at the Premier, it is only Dublin, it is only Louth, and obviously Derry and Harps. That's kind of it. Yeah. So we do need more teams, regional teams around the country. So I really hope for Cork's sake, the fans' sake, the league's sake, that Cork can keep this going, keep this momentum going, and to get up. But as I was saying to you, at the start, it's a very exciting league. It's not like at the minute Cork, obviously they are running away with it, but the other teams are still on their back. They're not. It's not like there's a 10-point gap, or well, it couldn't be. It's only 8 games gone. But it's not like there's a 5-point gap, or that. Galway are close in your tail to 17 points. I think they only have 1 or 2 losses as well. So Cork will keep the pressure on you to keep performing as well, because it's not like you can take the foot off the pedal at the minute, because you're gonna have to try and keep performing, keep these results coming, and I'm sure coming in the season to be thereabouts. I think from the looks of it. Obviously, Bray, they're 6th in the table at the minute. They're not doing too bad. I think they've been a bit hot cold this season, kind of a bit of hit miss. When they're on the game, they're hard to beat. And I think they've always been like that. And I think Bray have been very good at grinding out draws. The last few years. I think me and Keith were actually discussing this not too long ago. Bray had once such a crazy amount of draws. Not too many losses, but a draw. It was a very strange stat. If you could dig it out, it would be great. But it was going back a few years ago now. But Bray, they're not going to want to lose 6-0 again, they're going to want to lose this game all. They're going to want to stop Cork, and they're definitely going to make it hard for you, I think.
Yeah, like again, it's a situation where they have nothing to lose. I think again it comes back to like the treating Longford game. All the pressures on Cork City because the fact they're top of the league, because they're on a momentum, they're on a run. The problem I think with Bray, obviously, and speaking with Keith Ryan, is that their scoring is their issue, and probably for the first time in 2 or 3 seasons, City's defence has been really good this year.
Really
so
good. Yeah, solid. I keep a clean sheet, which is vital. I think something that he obviously weren't doing last season, which is a big change, and I think it's really lifted Cork's fortunes this season. That the defence has been so good. Like when the ball's coming in, it's cleared, everyone's pushing up straight away, and you're making it very hard for teams to get back in. I thought, so having looked at a few games, I've noticed Cork were doing that. To get the ball there and push up, and then no space at the back, and you haven't really been caught at the back doing that. So it's a really good way of playing, I think.
Yeah, and I've been saying to the lads, I hadn't been saying to you, Daz, but I didn't know much about Ali Gilchrist before he signed this year from Shelbourne. I didn't know the guy at all, but he's been instrumental, especially the last 3 or 4 weeks. And the return of Kevin O'Connor too, with him from Shelbourne, who seems to have got his mojo back. And defensively, they're very solid, and then offensively, especially with Kevin O'Connor, because of his experience when he gets the ball. He knows what to do with the ball. I said unfortunately there last year, Ronan Hurley was playing left back. Not unfortunately for him, because he's a good sub to bring on, but he was caught in a kind of a position last year where he was playing left back, and it just wasn't happening from. Whereas Kevin O'Connor's back this year, and it's just like a solidified the back. And City are just like, they're defending as a team and they're attacking as a team, but they're just a lot more solid as a unit this year. So it makes such a difference. And once you have the back 4 or back 5 settled, after that you can figure things out after that, and you can go attacking teams, because they have the firepower this year, and it just seems to be working out well for them.
Yeah, obviously, Kevin O'Connor, what a player he is, and I think he's someone that gets forgotten quite a lot. This man went to England, he went over to Preston, he's played in the Championship, for quite a few times. He played for a good few times for Preston. I think he played a handful of times, but he did get that big move over once upon a time, and he's definitely a Premier Division quality player. And like you said, that one player made such a difference for Cork, and you can see the difference it makes. And you have to be very happy for him that it worked out for him at Cork. And hopefully he'll go up with Cork, and you have a job in your hands trying to hold on to him. I think there'll be a lot of teams sniffing around him for next season, I think, already. Let alone next season, even halfway through this summer when window opens back up, you could be seeing a move. Who knows?
Yeah, that's the thing as well. I'm kind of, when something like that happens, and you're looking at younger players or players that are playing well, and if City didn't go up this year, as I said, look, I hope they do go up, but if they don't go up, then you have fellas who are performing in the first division who have Premier Division quality, and that the teams like Bows, Shamrock Rovers, they'll be after the likes of these players who can perform at the top level.
Yeah, I think staying in Munster, then we're looking at Waterford v Galway. Obviously, I think this is quite a big game. For me, this will be one of the games of the week, if not the game of the week, because if Galway can go to Waterford and get a result, and Cork don't get a result against Bray, suddenly Galway jump up top of Cork, and there's such a fight then for the two of you up at the top of it. I have to say, just before we even look at the game, Gavin, I'm very disappointed in Waterford this season. I really thought they were going to be like the Shelbourne, and I thought they were going to run away with the league. I thought they were going to be untouchable. I thought no one was going to get near them. I thought it'd be clean sheets. I thought it'd be goals. I thought it'd be 2-3-0 wins every week. That's just what I was 100% fully expecting, to get the whole team together, to get all the top players like the Patterson, Quinza, I probably don't say his name wrong, but you know who I'm on about. Power, I think, still there. The Martin's still there. There's a lot of players still there for Waterford that were top players for them. I know they went down, but the Premier Division side, and they're fourth. Now, I know it's early days, as I said, about a quarter of the league went to 14 points. The 14th on goal difference. It's not even or the 4th on goal difference. Really, you could say third stage. But I just thought to be first. I didn't think to be, down where they are now. Obviously, come towards the end of the season, it's a different story. They could run away the league then. Who knows? But I just think they've been not on as form, not at the boil. I think they're yet to reach their potential, yet to reach their level, I feel.
Yeah, and I suppose, look, when you're when you drop down like that, and you're kind of nearly expecting to go back up after your kind of a first season bounce, and I suppose like when you look at Galway and Cork City, obviously they probably said to themselves pre-season, like Colin Healy probably said to the City players and John Caulfield to the Galway players, lads, that we need to be, we're going to have to be right at it from the start of the season, because Waterford will be like that. But when City played Waterford in the Cross a couple of weeks ago, what surprised me most as is Waterford were excellent from their midfield upwards, but defending, I was actually very surprised at how poor they were at defending. And that, I'd say that's probably, like, obviously it was the only game I've seen Waterford. Well, I saw them down in Cobh last week, that was a different story. But in terms of the City and the Cross, like, you know, like Waterford at the back, City bullied them. And that surprised me a lot, especially for a team with Ian Morris and the way he set up Shelburne last year. But again, you see, the league is so tight. You're kind of looking at it from a point of view that Waterford are, you know, you're kind of saying they're not where they should be. But then, like, one or two wins, and like, you know, they're back up there again. And as you said there about this game at the weekend with Galway, you know, it will be the game of the weekend. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, you know, Galway are going to be going there. Obviously, they're a full-time team and very unlucky to miss out on promotion last season. And, you know, like, you know, like Coffey's going to want to go up this season. He's going to want to go up as champions, letting them go up. He's going to obviously go up by any means necessary, obviously, but like, he's definitely going to be punching this season for champions. He's hungry for it, and, you know, he's a man who's won a lot of things. Obviously, you'd know yourself from, you know, his Cork time as a player and a manager. He's won so much. He is a winner of the game. Like, he's a winner. He's a legend, obviously, throughout the league. And, you know, Galway, I think, will be well up for this game. And, you know, I actually fancy Galway for this one. And normally, you know, I wouldn't be confident calling a result like this, but I really think Galway are going to go to Waterford and give them a game. And I can see them coming away with a tight 1-0 win, because, you know, a set piece, you know, a break in the defence, you know, just a true ball. I think something like that's going to catch Waterford out, and Galway, you know, they'll hang on to the lead. And I think, and I can see it going that way. What's your prediction for this one?
Yeah, I suppose, look, with John Caulfield and with his past with Cork City, and he's looking at it, and he's going to gun down Cork City. He'll be dying to overtake City in the league, because he'll want to prove that, you know, he's still such a top manager, and that when he's going to Galway, he can do a job, and he's doing a great job up there, obviously, and he's probably nearly had to rebuild himself there. I think what probably is in a positive for Galway with the game against Waterford was Galway were playing Wexford there on Monday or Sunday or Monday, and it finished 1-1, and Wexford should have beat Galway. And I said to the lads the other night, and the other review showed that I wouldn't like to have been in the dressing room with John Caulfield after that 1-1 draw home to Wexford, because he'd be like, I'd say, he threw boots and bottles of water in the face. So I think that's actually...
Let's hope that's the only thing you threw around the dressing room at the players.
Yeah. Pizza maybe too. But you know what? I would say that, like, he obviously was, especially with that game in hand, and try and catch up with City, and like, they dropped 2 points, they're big time at home. And I'd say, when looking at the analysis with the team, and he's gunning for Waterford Friday night, there's no doubt about it. And typical John Caulfield with this game in Waterford Friday night, as you said there, Daz, if they went down there and win this game 1-0 or win it 2-1, he will be absolutely thrilled to bits.
When you bite your hand off for it, I'd say. Obviously, Longford are the idle team this week. They've got no game. Well, this weekend is round fixtures anyway, but they've won their last 2 games, keep 2 clean sheets. They bet Athlone 2-0, bet Cobh 2-0, and they are now up to third in the table with 14 points. Longford are the team who are doing really good again this season. Obviously, you know, just down to the Premier Division, but, you know, they could be another team thereabouts. And I think Longford, you know, not going too long about them, but I think the other teams look at this season as well.
Absolutely, Des.
And they play a great brand of football, I think, as well.
Yeah. And like, City went up to them there early in the first series of games. They drew 0 all up there, and which I thought was a good result for City up there, because I was saying they get a draw up there, and like, they've had 2 games, you know, without being disrespectful to Athlone and Cobh, but, you know, they picked up full points after 2 games, because Athlone are in such a mess, and Cobh, unfortunately, are in the same situation as Athlone. You know, things just aren't going well from. So they picked up 6 points from the 2 games, and as I said, nobody's saying nothing about Longford, and they're kind of like the silent giant behind, for want of a better word, behind Galway, Waterford, and City. Well, in terms of names, but they're up there, and they could be the team that could upset other teams, you know, come towards the middle and the end half of the season, you know. So they'll be happy with the way things are going up there too.
Yeah, completely agree. And I think Longford will be very happy where they are on the table. If they can try and, to stay in around that bubble, third, fourth, fifth, I think, they're in for a real shout with the playoffs coming to end season. It's very interesting. I think for me, it's one of the most exciting first divisions we think we've had for a start anyway in a long time. So it's really, really good to see. And I think there's a lot more interest in it this season too for Premier Division fans. So just keeping an eye on the scores, keeping an eye on the teams. And obviously, there's a lot of Premier Division players in the league. I think unnaturally the nurse season, there's a lot of ex-Premier divisions in the player division. There's a lot of ex-Premier League players in the divisions. That's cool. Suppose then a final game, Gav, that we're going to look at is Wexford v Cobh. I can't see this being an entertaining game. I can't see this being a good game, but either team will want obviously to get something out of this. And Cobh has conceded 6 goals the last 2 games. Like, it's horrific. It's terrible. But obviously both them teams have been down around that area of the table the last, what would you say, 10 years, about 8-10 years been down around it. This is just the way they're going to be. Cobh have got 1 win. They've got 4 points. They're 8 in the table, and Wexford is slightly better with 8 points and they're 7 in the table. I think Wexford will actually probably be happy with where they are. 8 points. I think just far this season, I think they should be kind of happy with that and try and push for 6th maybe. I think they're doing pretty okay for what the resources they've got and all, and how they are. How do you make this game? How do you see it's going to be?
I think that I went down to the City and Wexford game there a couple of weeks ago down in Ferrycarrick Park, and it was out of all the games this season, it was the hardest game for City. They came away with a 1-0 win, and it was one of those games where they had to grind out a 1-0 win because Wexford put them under a lot of pressure. And I was saying that they have a number 10 there. His name is Jack Doherty. There he plays in he wears number 10. He plays in a kind of a 10 position or what. He drops in and picks up the ball. Lovely ball player, and he's really exciting on the ball. And I like that. I saw the highlights of Wexford versus Galway in Terryland up in Galway the other day, and Wexford could have came away with the 3 points. So I think Wexford have, they're on the up. Unfortunately for Cobh, I went down when City had no game last weekend. I went down to Coleman's Park to watch them against Waterford, and unfortunately for Cobh, after about 25 or 30 minutes, Cobh were with Waterford, and then Waterford just pulled away.
Yeah.
I think, sadly enough, and as I said, even come from a Cork City fan, because I'd still like to see Cobh doing well, but I think they're in a bit of trouble. So I can't see anything other than a Wexford win in this game. No, it's not going to be a big result. Like, it's not going to be a lot of goals, but I'd be saying Wexford 1 or 2-0 in this game. I'd be surprised if anything else happens.
But as that, like Wexford got a 1-1 draw, am I right in saying, away from home against Galway just last week. That's really good result for them. And they'll be, as you said, they were hard to break down. And if they're going to start playing that way, they're going to give teams real headaches with problems. How do you break them down? We're coming away with a 1-1 draw. We're happy, nearly. So, I think if Wexford can nearly even try and adapt that game plan maybe and just go at Cobh maybe that way a little bit, be defensively solid. And see how they're going in the first half, what potential changes they might make. But obviously both teams are very young, but Cobh's team is it's that bit younger. I suppose then, Gav, just very quickly before we wrap up, we'll have a look at the league table then. My prediction for the Wexford v Cobh game is I'm going to say a 1-1 draw. I think it's going to be hard for both teams. I think it's going to be tight, but I think it'll be a real battling game because of where they both are, and a point for either team will do them a world of good. So I just think it's going to be a real battling game, but I can see it being a draw, especially with the way Wexford got the draw against Galway, how they played, and then obviously Cobh completed 4 goals. I think it was against Waterford, which is quite a lot. 6 goals in 2 games, it's a lot. They won't want to concede that money again going forward, obviously. So obviously top of the league, then we've got Cork City with 19 points. Second, then we got Galway, 3rd Longford, 4th Waterford, 5th 3, 6th Bray, 7th Wexford, 8th Cobh, 9th Athlone. Gavin, it's been absolutely brilliant having you on the show. Loved it, really good talking to you. Thanks everyone for watching. It's been great to be back. Let us know in the comments below what you think of the games going forward, what you think the results are going to be. Give us your predictions, let us know, and hit your bell notifications, and please like the video and share it with your granddad if you can, or your friends, whoever you want to share it with. Thanks very much, everyone.
Thanks, Daz.